You gave everything: your time, your energy, your patience, your forgiveness. You showed up when they didn't. You stayed when anyone else would have left. You loved them harder than they ever loved you, and somehow, you're the one sitting here broken while they've already moved on. It doesn't make sense. You did everything right. You were loyal. You were kind. You were understanding. You bent until you nearly broke, and still, it wasn't enough. They took everything you offered and then left you empty, wondering what you did wrong. And the worst part, this isn't the first time. You keep ending up here, keep choosing people who take and take until there's nothing left of you. You're starting to believe that being good is the problem, that caring too much is a weakness, that your heart is too big for a world full of people who don't deserve it. You replay it all in your mind. Every time you stayed when they canceled. Every time you forgave them when they lied. Every time you made excuses for them to your friends who could see what you refused to admit. You were so patient, so giving, and they just kept taking. You tell yourself you were being a good partner. That's what love is, right? Sacrifice, compromise, putting their needs first. But there's a voice getting louder now, asking, when did they ever do that for you? When did they sacrifice? When did they put you first? You can't remember. And that realization sits in your stomach like a stone. You see other people who are selfish and careless and honestly kind of terrible, and they're in happy relationships. They get the love you're desperate for, and they didn't have to destroy themselves to get it. They take more than they give. They prioritize themselves. They have boundaries, and people love them for it. Meanwhile, you've been taught that being good means being selfless, that love means sacrifice, that if you just give enough, care enough, try enough, it'll be returned. So you keep giving, you keep trying, and you keep ending up with people who see your kindness as an invitation to take advantage. You're angry at yourself. You knew better. You saw the red flags. Your friends warned you. That feeling in your gut told you something was off. But you silenced it all because you wanted to be understanding. You didn't want to be judgmental or give up too easily. You wanted to see the best in them. And they saw that, and they used it. Now you're sitting in the wreckage of another failed relationship, and you're the one who has to rebuild. Again, they're already out there, probably doing the same thing to someone else, while you're left questioning everything you thought you knew about love. You wonder if you should change, if you should become harder, colder, more guarded, if you should stop caring so much, stop giving so much, stop being so available. Maybe if you were more selfish, you'd get hurt less. Maybe if you played games instead of being honest, you'd be the one in control. But that doesn't feel like you. You don't want to become cynical. You don't want to build walls so high that no one can reach you. You just want your goodness to be met with goodness. You want someone who doesn't see your kindness as weakness, who doesn't mistake your patience for permission to hurt you. You're tired of being the person everyone can count on except yourself. Tired of putting everyone else first and ending up alone. Tired of being told you're really too nice, like it's a character flaw instead of a virtue. You just want to understand why this keeps happening. Why being good feels like punishment. Why your heart keeps getting broken by people who never deserved it in the first place. Your goodness isn't the problem. But what you've been taught goodness means, that's where everything falls apart. You've been conditioned to believe that being good means being accommodating. That kindness means saying yes when you want to say no. That love means sacrificing your needs for someone else's wants. And that conditioning makes you the perfect target for people who take without giving back. There's a specific pattern at play here, and it starts with boundaries. Or rather, your lack of them. Good people often confuse boundaries with selfishness. You think setting limits means you're being difficult or demanding, so you don't set them. You let people cross lines because you don't want to seem difficult. You accept treatment you know is wrong because you don't want to be too much. But here's what actually happens. People who have poor boundaries attract people who need them not to have boundaries. You're not randomly unlucky in love. You're unconsciously selecting people who benefit from your inability to say no. The takers can smell the givers from a mile away. When you meet someone, you lead with your empathy, your understanding, your willingness to accommodate. You make yourself easy to love by making yourself easy to take from. You do the emotional labor. You make the relationship comfortable for them, and initially, they love it. Who wouldn't want someone who asks for nothing and gives everything? But attraction built on one-sided giving doesn't create partnership. It creates dependency and resentment. They become dependent on you doing all the work, and you become dependent on being needed. You start to believe that your value in the relationship is what you provide, not who you are. This is what psychologists call transactional worth. You've tied your worth to what you do for others, not your inherent value as a person. So you keep doing more, giving more, trying more, hoping it'll make them love you the way you love them. But it won't, because you're not teaching them to value you. You're teaching them to use you. There's also the issue of why you're attracted to these people in the first place. Good people, especially those who are empathetic and caring, are often drawn to people who need fixing. You see someone struggling, someone broken, someone misunderstood, and your instinct is to help, to love them better, to be the person who finally sees their potential. This is your empathy being weaponized against you. You're not seeing them clearly. You're seeing who they could be, who you want them to be, who they promise they'll be. And you invest in that potential while ignoring the reality of who they are right now. You're in love with a fantasy, and they're benefiting from it without having to change. The people who hurt you aren't hurting despite your goodness. They're able to hurt you because of it. Your forgiveness gives them permission to keep making the same mistakes. Your understanding becomes an excuse for their bad behavior. Your patience means they never face consequences. You've created an environment where they can be their worst self and still keep you. And here's the part that's hardest to accept. Staying in these relationships isn't just about your goodness, it's about your fear. Fear of being alone. Fear of being seen as a failure. Fear that if you leave, you'll prove that you weren't good enough. So you stay, you try harder, you give more, thinking that your goodness will eventually break through. But you can't love someone into being better. You can't sacrifice yourself into being valued. You can't give enough to fill a person who's determined to stay empty. Good people get hurt the most in love because they believe their goodness is currency. That if they're just good enough, they'll earn the love they deserve. But love isn't earned through depletion. Real love doesn't require you to destroy yourself to prove you're worthy of it. The people who hurt you aren't confused about your value. They know exactly what you're worth. That's why they keep taking. They're just betting that you don't know, that you'll keep giving because you think that's what good people do. Being good isn't your weakness, but how you've been expressing that goodness has been working against you. It's time to redefine what goodness actually means. Real goodness includes being good to yourself. Setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's self-respect. Saying no when you need to isn't mean. It's honest. Walking away from someone who consistently hurts you isn't giving up. It's choosing yourself. And that's not a betrayal of your values, that's honoring them. You've been operating under the belief that the more you give, the more you prove your love. But relationships aren't meant to be performances. You shouldn't have to audition for someone's affection. You shouldn't have to earn basic respect and consideration through endless giving. What if being a good person means refusing to participate in your own mistreatment? What if kindness includes being kind to yourself? What if the most loving thing you can do is refuse to let people treat you like you're disposable? Your goodness should be offered to people who match it, not people who exploit it, and that requires discernment. Not everyone deserves access to your heart. Not everyone has earned your trust, your time, your energy. Being open doesn't mean being available to everyone. Being loving doesn't mean being a doormat. You need to start paying attention to reciprocity, not just words but actions. Do they show up for you the way you show up for them? Do they consider your feelings the way you consider theirs? Do they make sacrifices, or is it always you bending? If the scales are constantly tipped in one direction, you're not in a partnership, you're being used. The right person won't require you to shrink your standards or silence your needs. They won't see your kindness as permission to hurt you. They won't take and take while giving nothing back. The right person will meet your goodness with their own. They'll see your heart and protect it, not exploit it. Stop making excuses for people who don't show up for you. Stop romanticizing struggle. Stop thinking that if you just love them hard enough, they'll change. People change when they want to, not because you've suffered enough to deserve it. Your goodness isn't the problem. Your willingness to give it to people who don't value it has been casting pearls before swine and then wondering why you keep getting hurt. It's not about becoming less good. It's about becoming more selective about who gets to experience your goodness. You deserve someone who sees your kindness and treasures it, who sees your loyalty and honors it, who sees your heart and handles it carefully. And until that person shows up, you need to be that person for yourself. Being good means knowing your worth, and your worth isn't determined by how much you can endure or how much you can give. Your worth is inherent. You matter because you exist, not because of what you do for others. Being a good person in a world full of takers doesn't make you naive, but staying with people who hurt you makes you complicit in your own pain. Your goodness is a gift. Stop giving it to people who treat it like it's ordinary. If this hit something deep, if you felt understood in a way you haven't before, stay here. We talk about the truth behind relationships, the parts that hurt, the parts that heal. Subscribe to continue these conversations. You're not alone in this, and your goodness is not a flaw. It just needs better company.